All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the sweeping cosmic beginnings of J.R.R. Tolkien's universe. I'm talking way, way before the familiar events of the Rings of Power. Honestly, before hobbits or the Shire were even a distant thought. We are looking at a vast, ancient mythology that laid the groundwork for the entire universe. To truly understand this world, we have to ask ourselves, what actually happened in the uttermost beginning? We are going way back to a time when godlike beings known as the Valar first shaped the earth and literally battled for its very soul. It's this incredibly grand story of creation, destruction, and some profound unexpected gifts.
So, Section 1, the Spring of Arda.
We start our journey in a time of profound, ancient history. Literally before the world, or Arda, was even fully shaped, a first war was already raging. A dark, immensely powerful spirit named Melkor actually had the upper hand. But then this mighty spirit named Tolkis arrives on the scene. Filled with strength, his laughter actually scattered the clouds and darkness. It's an amazing image. Melkor fled, and for a long age, a fragile peace reigned. During this downtime, the Valar brought order to the world. Aule the smith built two towering lamps, Aluin and Ormal, just to light the world. Under this continuous, changeless day, forests grew, beasts awoke, and the Valar rested on the Isle of Almarin, totally content in this beautiful era known as the Spring of Arda. Which brings us to Section 2, Melkor's destructive return. But of course, while the rulers of the world rested, a jealous and vengeful shadow was creeping back in. Because of the blinding light of the northern lamp, the Valar didn't even notice Melkor secretly returning and building a vast, dark underground fortress called Utumno. From this stronghold, a terrible blight flowed out, completely corrupting the beautiful world they had just built. Notice the grim details here. Green things literally rotted, the rivers choked with weeds and slime, and beautiful forests twisted into perilous dark haunts. Even the beasts were corrupted, turning into bloodthirsty monsters of horn and ivory. The Spring of Arda was completely marred. Realizing Melkor was back, the Valar prepared for war. But Melkor, he struck suddenly. He assailed the towering lamps, casting down their pillars and completely shattering them. And when those massive lamps spilled over, destroying flame was poured out across the entire earth. Lands were broken, seas rose in tumult, and the very symmetry of the waters and lands was permanently altered. Melkor managed to escape back into the darkness of Utumno, but the first beautiful designs of the Valar, they were ruined forever. Moving on to Section 3, the Two Trees of Valinor. So, with Middle-earth plunged back into absolute darkness and chaos, the Valar essentially had to abandon their ruined home. They retreated far to the westernmost land of Aman, fortifying themselves behind the highest mountains on Earth. Behind these massive mountains, they established a brand new domain, Valinor, the Blessed Realm. And here, nothing faded or withered. To bring light back to their home, the Valar gathered around a green mound called Izelahar. Yavanna sat upon the grass and sang this profound song of power, while Nienna watered the earth with her tears. And under her song, two slender shoots emerged, growing into the most renowned creations of the Elder Days. It is absolutely fascinating to compare this stark, beautiful contrast between these two living sources of light. On one hand, we have Telperion, the older tree, shimmering with silver light and dripping a literal dew of silver. On the other hand, there's Laurelin, radiating warmth and spilling a golden rain from flowers shaped like glowing horns. Now, they operated on alternating cycles. Each tree would wax to full glory and wane over a 7-hour period. But because their cycles overlapped, twice a day in Valinor, there was a gentle hour where the gold and silver beams mingled together perfectly. This beautiful cycle literally created the count of time for the Valar. All right, Section 4, the Powers of Arda. Even amidst all this bliss and light in Valinor, the Valar didn't entirely abandon the darkened lands of Middle-earth. And, if you're a manager or a leader tuning in, there's actually a really compelling organizational takeaway right here. The Valar were absolute masters of delegation and domain expertise. Think about it. You have Manwë, the highest king, acting almost like a CEO, whose eagle spirits kept high-level watch over everything. Owl is the great craftsman and technical teacher.
Notice Olmo, and this is vital, he didn't even live in the main office of Velinar. He dwelt alone in the outer oceans, keeping life coursing through the secret veins of the dark world. Yavanna handled the healing of the environment, and Orome, the hunter, was essentially the boots on the ground, boldly riding his silver horse through the dark forest to hunt Melkor's monsters. Together, working strictly in their specific strengths, they were diligently preparing the world.
And that leads perfectly into Section 5, the gifts of Iluvatar. Because all of this preparation, this constant watchfulness by the Valar, it was all leading to the grand design of the supreme creator, Iluvatar. The Valar knew his children were coming, but they couldn't force their destiny. Iluvatar created two distinct kindreds, the Quendi, which we know as the elves, and the Atani, which we know as men. The elves were destined to bring forth incredible beauty. But for men, as Iluvatar states in this decree, he planned something entirely unexpected, a new gift. Let's actually break down this fundamental difference because it is huge. The elves are immortal. They are physically bound to the earth, remaining until the world itself dies. Because of this endless connection, their love for the world becomes deeply poignant and sorrowful as countless ages pass. Men, on the other hand, are just visitors. They are literally called the guests or the strangers, dwelling alive for only a short space. In a truly fascinating philosophical twist, Tolkien frames death not as a curse, but as Iluvatar's ultimate gift. It gives men the virtue to shape their own lives completely beyond the preordained music of the gods. It's a freedom from fate that eventually, as time wears on, even the immortal powers of the world will come to envy. Now, of course, Melkor couldn't just let such a beautiful gift remain pure. No way. Still brooding in his darkness, he cast his shadow over the gift of mortality. He confounded it with darkness, bringing evil out of good, and crucially, bringing fear out of what was meant to be hope. Because of Melkor's influence, men actually came to dread their greatest gift, viewing their short lives as a tragedy rather than a beautiful, liberating freedom. Which brings us to a final, lingering mystery to take away from this explainer. The texts tell us that eventually, after the end of days, men will join the gods in a glorious second music to remake the world. But what do you think happens to the immortal elves after the world finally ends? It's a secret that the Supreme Creator, Iluvatar, has revealed to absolutely no one, not to the Valar and not even to Melkor. It's a profound unknown hanging over the most beautiful beings in Middle-earth. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?